What if healing isn't something you do, but something you remember? Like a forgotten melody quietly humming beneath the noise of your everyday thoughts, waiting for you to slow down enough to hear it again? Have you ever cried? Not from pain, but from the sudden release of something heavy you didn't even know you were holding. Maybe it happened when you were watching the rain outside a window, or while sitting quietly with no one around, and suddenly, peace arrived without asking permission. It's in these moments, unplanned, unforced, that something deeper takes over. Something ancient, something true. And you didn't chant a mantra or sit in a perfect posture. You didn't try to fix yourself. You just stopped. And in the stillness, something shifted. What if that shift was your energy? Realigning itself, rebalancing, finding its way home. Not because you made it happen, but because you finally stopped resisting it. And what if you've been healing more than you realize? Not by doing more, but by feeling more, noticing more, and slowly remembering who you are underneath all the noise. Maybe healing isn't a journey of seeking, but a soft return to something you've always known. A coming home. So let me ask you this. What if your body, your breath, your very soul has been quietly balancing your energy? Not with effort, but with love, all along. And what if, just for a moment, you stopped chasing healing and allowed yourself to feel that maybe, just maybe, you're already whole? 1. The problem most people don't see. We live in a world that teaches us to fix everything. Fix the body, fix the mind, fix the heart. So naturally, when something inside us aches, we go looking for answers like a mechanic searching for a lie. Broken gear. We buy books. We sign up for retreats. We learn all the methods. Meditation, breath work, energy healing, and yet, there's still this quiet feeling, like something's not quite whole. Maybe the problem isn't that we're not trying hard enough to heal. Maybe the problem is that we think we're supposed to be broken in the first place, because from the moment we felt pain, the mind whispered, something's wrong with you. And we believed it, not just once, over and over again. But what if, just what if, we're not broken? What if we're simply overwhelmed by the weight of being human? Think about it. The body was never meant to hold this much stress. The soul was never meant to forget its own light. Maybe it's not damage. Maybe it's overload. So instead of asking, how do I fix myself? What if we asked, how do I come back to myself? Not to some better version, but to the one that was never lost. Healing might not be about becoming someone new. It might be remembering who you were before the world told you to be something else. Because you are not broken. Your soul remembering its rhythm under layers of noise. And beneath all the trying, all the effort, is something quietly waiting. 2. How survival mode keeps us stuck. There's a part of you that flinches, not when a loud sound goes off, but when a soft memory creeps in. Not when you're in danger, but when you're alone and silence starts to speak. And in those quiet moments, your body, without words, starts to prepare for a storm. The fight or flight response isn't always about lions or car crashes. It's about the invisible wounds, the unmet expectations, the unspoken grief. Survival mode doesn't just live in emergencies. It lives in the everyday pressure to hold it together when you're falling apart. And here's what no one tells you. That stuck energy doesn't vanish. It settles. It stores. It pools in the lower body, in the belly, the hips, the legs. Like a river that's forgotten how to flow. You might call it tightness, or numbness, or just exhaustion. But really, it's life force asking to breathe again. Have you ever noticed your chest clench when you speak your truth? Or your throat close when you try to cry? That isn't weakness. That isn't failure. That's the intelligence of your body holding ancient stories, waiting for you to listen. 3. The quiet signs you're actually healing. There's something sacred about the space between trigger and response. That pause you didn't used to have. It's quiet, barely noticeable. But inside that silence is power. The kind that says, I no longer need to fight everything I feel. You begin to look at someone who once stirred anger in you. And instead of tightening your jaw or guarding your chest, you feel something softer. A kind of compassion that whispers, maybe they're hurting too. Your mind starts to spin, as it always has. Thoughts bouncing, stories looping. But instead of chasing each one like a fire you have to put out, you just notice them. Watch them like clouds passing through a vast sky that no longer fears the storm. And these moments, these quiet, almost invisible moments, might seem small, but they are not. They are massive shifts. They are seismic movements in the landscape of your nervous system, realigning you with peace. Because healing doesn't always roar. It doesn't always look like a breakthrough or feel like a transformation. Sometimes it sounds like a breath you didn't know you were holding. Finally exhale. It's not about controlling what moves through you. It's about allowing what moves through you to feel safe again. Like letting a wild river know it won't be dammed or diverted anymore. Just gently guided home. So if you've noticed these shifts, these subtle changes in how you breathe, how you react, how you soften, then hear this. You are healing. Not in some future version of yourself, but here, in this breath, in this quiet reclaiming of peace. 4. Breath, your inner remote control. Take a slow, deep breath. Not the kind that rushes in and out like a task to finish, but one that asks you to feel every inch of its journey, from the base of your spine to the crown of your head. Let yourself feel what it's like to simply exist in that moment. Not thinking, not striving, not fixing. Just being completely. That breath you just took, it wasn't just air. It was a soft whisper from your soul, reminding you that you are here, that you are alive, and that you can return to yourself whenever the world feels too loud. Breath is more than survival. It's your inner remote control. A subtle, sacred switch that brings you out of chaos and gently lands you into presence. With every conscious inhale, you reclaim a little more of your scattered energy. And with every slow exhale, you release a little more of the weight that never belonged to you in the first place. Try this. Each morning, before the world asks you to be anything or do anything, just sit for 2 minutes. No goals, no expectations, no performance. Just you and your breath, meeting in stillness. And in that simple act of breathing, you begin to remember. Not through thoughts, but through feeling. That healing doesn't begin in grand epiphanies, but in the quiet, faithful return to presence. Your breath will never abandon you. It will always be there, waiting, like a loyal friend, ready to bring you home again, no matter how far you've wandered. 5. Feelings are portals, not problems. There's something we don't talk about enough. The quiet weight we carry in our hearts, the emotions we've learned to label as too much, too messy, or too weak. Sadness, anger, fear. These aren't problems to be solved, but doorways we've been too afraid to open. Each emotion we push away is like a letter we never read, still waiting patiently on the soul's doorstep, whispering, there is something here you need to feel. These aren't thoughts from your mind. These are messages from your energy system. Deeper, older, wiser, asking to be witnessed, not fixed. And when you stop running, when you sit down quietly beside the feeling you once feared, something shifts. Not loudly, not quickly, but profoundly. You are no longer trapped in reaction. You become the witness. You become the space. That's what freedom feels like. Not the absence of pain, but the presence of understanding. And so I invite you, with tenderness, to ask yourself, what feeling have I been avoiding? What is it trying to show me? Not just about the world, but about me? You don't need to force healing. Healing isn't something you chase down like a prize. It's something that unfolds gently, like petals opening under morning sun when they feel safe. You don't need to fix what was never broken. Somewhere along the way, you may have been told that your pain meant you were flawed. But pain is not proof of damage. It's the sign that your soul is stretching, evolving, becoming. Your body remembers. Long after the words are forgotten, your body holds the truth, not to punish, but to guide. Every ache, every tension, every flutter in your chest is like a sacred whisper from your deeper self. Your energy knows. Even when your mind doubts, even when your voice trembles, there's a quiet intelligence within you that never left. It always knew the way. It still does. All it asks is your presence. Not your perfection, not your performance. Just your honest, open, loving presence. To sit with what is, to breathe through what hurts, and to trust what's becoming. So, I invite you, take a breath with me. Place a hand over your heart and simply ask, what is alive in me right now? Not to judge it, but to meet it. Comment below. What's one soul sign you've felt lately that tells you you're growing? Like if this message brought you peace. Sometimes one sentence, one pause, one breath can shift everything. Subscribe if you're on the journey of awakening. We walk this path together, not as strangers, but as mirrors, as souls remembering who we truly are.